Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Moore here with you for another Your Library at Home. I'm reporting live from Studio 270, that's our teen center here in the Gale Borden Public Library. And today we're going to talk about grant writing. What is a grant? How do we find these grants? And then how do we effectively write a proposal to help us obtain those grants? So first things first, what is a grant? A grant is essentially money that's allocated to an individual or a group for a specific purpose. So if you're an artist, you could apply for an art grant to fund a project or an idea that you have. If you're a not-for-profit organization or a museum, work at a museum or a library like I do, there's plenty of grants that are available for your organization and everything in between as well. So you can't get a grant. You can't say, all right, I'm applying for this $1,000 grant to fund my art project, and then get the grant and use the money on an Xbox and video games or really anything else for that matter. You have to use it specifically for what you said you needed that grant money for. So now we know what a grant is, right? How do we find these grants? Well, one easy way is this wonderful thing we have called the internet. Go to your favorite search engine, and you can see a few of the things I searched recently. Grants for artists, grants in Illinois, grants for individuals in Illinois. Not just when you're looking for grants, but when you're really looking for anything online, the more keywords you use in your search, the better chance that you're going to find results that are specific to what you're looking for, right? So, example, I just searched grants for artists. This is a site that I've used before to find opportunities, artworkarchive.com. And you see when you go here, there's the pop-up. You could see a list of different grants, some of the criteria for who is it for, artists living and working in New York, 25 years and older, right? So a lot of grants are very specific. Other ones are a little more general and more open to a wider variety of people and a wider variety of people located in different geographic locations. But others are specific to one area or one city or maybe one field of work like art or science, or library work, things like that. So that's one site you could go to, and these are specifically for art grants. You could also search grants in Illinois. Now if I search grants in Illinois, it's going to take me to plenty of sites that show me all the different grants available, but like I said, it's a little less specific. So as I see here, recreational grants, museum capital grants, right? A lot of these are for organizations. If you're not looking for those organizational grants, then you'll probably yield better results by looking for grants for individuals in Illinois. All right, and then here we go, right out the bat, Illinois personal grants. Illinois grants need help paying bills. So it doesn't always have to be for a project. Sometimes you could get a grant just because you're in need and you could apply, and if you meet the criteria, maybe you'll get a grant for that too. So again, just search more specifically, grants for home repairs, right? Home improvements. So, and you don't have to search in Illinois. Some grants are national or international. So just the main idea is to look for grants that fit what you're trying to do. If you have an idea in mind, you could, easily seek out grants that pertain to that particular subject. So let's use a grant that I've applied for, a local one. This is the Elgin Cultural Arts Commission Individual Artist Grant. I received this grant in 2017, and I also just received it recently and got approved for a project in this year, 2020. This is a grant here in Illinois or in Elgin. You need to either be based in Elgin, living in Elgin, or just have a documented history of contributing to the community in Elgin. So like if you live somewhere else, but you come to Elgin to be a part of the art scene, or you play concerts in Elgin, you may qualify as well. So you just have to have some stake in Elgin and be giving some contributions to Elgin. So when I was going for these grants, I used their criteria to kind of draft my proposal, right? So first you're going to want to look at the eligibility. Are you eligible? Do you fit these criteria to even apply? And then once you do, you want to make sure you really are looking at not just this grant, but any grant, that you're really looking at the guidelines and the criteria. Because if you miss one thing, or if you don't answer certain questions, if you aren't able to answer certain questions when they come up, that's going to hurt your chances of getting approved for the grant. These organizations typically want to see that you have sound financial management, that you have a feasible project that could get done within the timeline that they want it done within. So just be prepared to answer the questions. Why is this going to benefit your community, or why is it going to achieve the intended result that you want it to achieve, or that the organization that's offering the grant wants it to achieve? Like I said, I did this for a project called Shop Local that I put out in 2017, and again for a project called Dark Skies, Tainted Waters that I'm putting out this year. And here this tells you the whole process. Submit your application, attend the meeting. The Elgin Cultural Arts Commission will vote on the application to approve or not. They'll follow up with you. If approved, you fill out the paperwork, and then at the end you submit a final report to the commission, just showing them this is what I plan to do, this is how it worked, this was my budget, this is what I actually spent, etc., etc. So I looked at this award criteria: innovation, what's unique about the project, what risk will you take, there's the questions go on, and I go through when I'm writing my proposal, and I answer each of these questions specifically. You don't have to do that, but I do it because I want to be able to answer all of these if they should they come up during my presentation. I want to be able to answer the questions before they come up. All right, so how is my project applied with innovation, with the impact that it will have on the community? Is it feasible? How does it create opportunities for others within the community? These are the things that the Elgin Cultural Arts Commission were looking for when deciding whether or not to give a grant to somebody. So obviously, if you're applying for the grant, you want to give yourself the highest chance that you can to actually obtain the grant. So that's my advice. Go through the application for whatever grant that you're looking for. Find out what they want to achieve by giving you this grant money, and then just answer all the questions, and you could really draft your proposal around the organization that you're applying to the grant from. So with that being said, you may, if you're applying for multiple grants, you may need to draft multiple proposals in order to just be more in tune with the mission of the organization that you're going for. Just like if you're applying for a job, you don't want to send the same cover letter to one company as you did to the other necessarily, because maybe the jobs have different responsibilities. So you want your grant proposal to be specific to the grant that you're applying for in order to have the best chance of getting it. So that's the individual artist grant. You see here they just tell you everything that they need from you. Here's a budget sheet. You could either fill this one out or fill one out on your own. This organization in particular, and I'm sure many others, this is just the one that I've had the most experience with in applying for grants. They want your budget expenses to pretty much zero out with your income. And that's because they want to see that you're going to have enough financial backing behind your project to make sure that it actually happens. And they also don't want to be the only organization or individual who's funding the project. So if you could have, the Shop Local project, I had funding from a lot of small businesses as well. This one that I'm doing now, it was more from individuals and collaborative partners, artistic partners that I work with. But it's fine. It doesn't necessarily matter where the source of the income's coming from. What's more important is that it's very close to what you estimate for your expenses. So your income estimate and your expense estimate should be similar. And again, that's so that the organization can feel confident that you have a feasible project that is going to be able to be completed from a financial standpoint and from a timing standpoint. And then they give you this little checklist too. Make sure before you submit that you've got everything here on the checklist. So that's for the individual artist grant, right? And then once you get all this in for this particular grant, then you would attend a meeting to present your idea in person, or depending on how they're doing things nowadays, might be through a Zoom meeting. And then the organization would decide on whether to give you that grant or not. So again, this is just one example. This is for artists, but there's grants all over the place. I know that the Gale Board and Public Library is working with Comcast for a grant that Comcast offers to public service providers, things like that. So again, go on to Google or Bing or whatever your search engine of choice is and search grants for artists or grants for homeowners, grants for small business owners. And I could all but guarantee that you're going to find something that applies to what your medium is or what your need is. So that's it. You got really nothing to lose other than potentially your time, and even then, it's not a loss of time because you're going to be gaining a new skill. You're going to be working on your writing, and then the ultimate goal is you're going to get some funding for whatever you need that funding for out of this as well. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is amoore, that's AMOORE at galeborden.info. Thanks for tuning in to another Your Library at Home. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day. Thanks.